My wife was perfect, or so I thought. She shone like a diamond in public, polite, calm, with a smile that melted hearts. My parents adored her, my brother joked that I had hit the jackpot, and my grandmother, looking at her, crossed herself and whispered, "God's gift." I believed in this fairy tale until I opened her laptop and saw what she was hiding behind her mask. She ran an anonymous gossip blog where my family, mom, dad, sister, even me, became characters in her toxic show. Posts with titles like "My mother-in-law is a toxic witch" or "My husband is a rag" was read by thousands, but I didn't know anything. She wasn't just complaining. She was lying, making up dramas to garner likes. I was silent, accumulating her lies until she chose the wrong target, a man who would not tolerate. And I knew her stage was about to collapse. Her name was Anna, but in public she was more than just Anna. She was the epitome of perfection. At dinner, she laughed at my father's jokes, hugged my mother as if she were her own, and stroked my grandmother's hand when she told old stories. "You're a lucky guy," my brother would say, raising a glass at our wedding. I nodded, feeling the warmth in my chest. 3 years of marriage, and I thought I knew her. But that evening changed everything. I was looking for her electricity bill on her laptop. She left it open in the kitchen. The browser tab was lit with the heading, "Shadows of the Family." I clicked, thinking it was some kind of forum, but it was her blog. Odyssey. And every post was like a punch in the stomach. I flipped through the headlines and my blood froze in my veins. "My mother-in-law is a toxic witch in the body of a sweet grandmother. My husband's sister wants to be me, and it scares me. 5 reasons why my husband is a jerk, but I'm still with him." As I read, the world around me became quieter, as if someone had turned off the sound. My mom, who brought us homemade soup and mended my shirts every week, was an interfering bitch who stifles my freedom. My father, a school coach who devoted his life to children, became an old racist who hates everything new. My sister, who once joked about her dress, turned into an obsessive, envious woman. What about me? I was a doormat who was afraid of his family and lives in its shadow. Every word was a distortion, like in a crooked mirror, where the truth was dying under a layer of lies. She wasn't just gossiping, she was making it up. An ordinary argument over dinner became a family conspiracy. My request to wash the dishes is proof of male chauvinism. She took our lives, our weaknesses, and rewrote them into dramas for thousands of subscribers. I flipped through the comments under the posts and everyone was like a knife. "Poor thing, your mother-in-law is a nightmare. My husband's sister is a psychopath." People I've never seen talked about us like we were on a reality show. And I, her husband, was the biggest fool who didn't even know he was playing in her script. I closed the laptop, feeling rage and pain fighting inside. I wanted to rush into the bedroom, wake her up and ask, "Why?" But I didn't. I sat in the dark, listening to her breathing behind the wall, and I knew that screaming wouldn't do anything. She was an actress, and I was a spectator who had just found out that the show wasn't real. I started following. Every night, when she thought I was asleep, she opened her laptop and the screen glowed with her venom. I saw the notifications. "A new post has been published." I read how she writes about her brother, calling him an alpha with a little man complex. My brother, who painted our fence and laughed at her jokes, became a caricature. I clenched my fists, but I didn't say anything. Silence was my weapon. I dug deeper. I found her correspondence with a friend where she boasted, "This post about the mother-in-law will blow up." The friend replied, "You're a genius, keep going." I saved everything. Screenshots of posts, drafts, browser history. I've seen her write about her grandmother, calling her a manipulator hiding behind cookies. The grandmother who cried at our wedding and knitted us a plaid. I remembered how Anna hugged her and thanked her for her advice. Her duplicity was like poison, sweet but deadly. I looked at her in the morning when she was making coffee, kissed me on the cheek, and thought, "Who are you? The wife I loved, or the actress who plays me like a pawn?" I waited because I knew she wouldn't stop. She was hungry for attention, for likes, for the power that the blog gave her. I could see her eyes glistening as she checked her viewing stats. She wrote more and more boldly, more and more venomously. The post about her father, where she called him a racist who pretends to be kind, was her new masterpiece. My father, who coached children of all races and cried when his student received a scholarship. I read and felt like something was breaking inside. Not love, but faith. The belief that family is a pillar and marriage is the truth. She was selling us out for fame, and I was her main trophy, but I knew she would choose the wrong target. I saw her writing a new post, her fingers trembling with excitement. She ran over a man who doesn't keep quiet. I didn't know who it was, but I felt it. This is the end of her game. Her blog was like a house built on sand, and the storm was coming. I sat in the dark, listening to the sound of her keys, and thought about my family. The mom who brought the soup, the father who taught me to be a man, a sister who just wanted to be closer, a grandmother who loved her like her own. They didn't deserve this, and I didn't deserve it. I was not a doormat. I was a man who was waiting for the moment for the truth to come out, and that moment was close. My wife, Anna, ran an anonymous blog where she turned my family into targets. My mother was a bitch, my father was a racist, and I was a rag. I was accumulating evidence of her lies until she attacked my Aunt Sarah, a former journalist with a YouTube channel with 300,000 subscribers. Sarah found the blog, recognized us, and released a video expose with posts, rebuttals, and interviews with the family. The video gained 500,000 views in a day. Reddit figured out Anna. Her subscribers fled. Brands abandoned her. I didn't defend myself. I packed my things, took the documents for the house, and went to my parents. She accused me of calling the blog creative, but I hung up on her. Sarah released a second video. Be careful who you make into a character. Now I'm free from her lies, knowing that the truth is not her show, but my life. Aunt Sarah was like a family detective. She didn't just understand the internet, she owned it. A former journalist, she ran a YouTube channel where she exposed fakes, criticized influencers, and dug up the truth. Her 300,000 subscribers were waiting for each video like a premiere. During the trip, she came across the blog Shadows of the Family. At first it was just gossip, but the descriptions of a toxic mother-in-law and a rag husband clicked in her head. She texted me, "Is this Anna?" I replied, "Yes." I sent her everything, screenshots of posts, drafts, correspondence with a friend, where Anna boasted of explosive content. Sarah didn't wait. She turned on the camera and took apart my wife as best she could, with facts, sarcasm, and a knockout. Her video was called "My Wife Runs a Fake Blog About the Family, the Whole Truth from Real People." I watched it at my parents', clutching the mug so that my fingers turned white. Sarah showed Anna's posts about her mother who stifles freedom, about her father, a racist in a kind mask, about me, a rag. Then there are the refutations. Mom, wiping away her tears, talked about how she brought us soup. The father, with a tired look, talked about his work with children. The sister pursed her lips and said, "I was just joking with her." Grandma, holding a plate of cookies, whispered, "I thought she loved us." Sarah is done. This is not gossip. That's a lie. The video has gained 500,000 views in a day. The comments were ablaze. What an abomination. Family, hold on. I watched Anna's scene crumble and felt a cold sense of relief. Anna was running around like an animal in a trap. She deleted posts, blocked Sarah, cleaned up the blog, but the internet does not forgive. Someone on Reddit found her real account, leaked her name, and everything started spinning. Thousands of her followers, who applauded her honesty, began to unsubscribe. The comments under her old posts became the grave of her reputation. Liar. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? The brands that sent her cosmetics and clothes have terminated their contracts. One wrote on Twitter, "We do not cooperate with slanderers." Her blog, her empire of likes, crumbled like sand. I looked at it and felt neither joy nor pity, just emptiness. She betrayed not only me, but everyone who trusted her, for the sake of cheap fame. I didn't save her. When my brother called, I said, "Watch Sarah's video." He called back, his voice trembling. "She sold us all out." Mom was crying. Dad was silent. Grandma was just shaking her head. The sister wrote, "I knew she was a fake." I packed 2 bags, the documents for the house, my house bought with my money. He left for his parents without saying a word to Anna. She bombarded my phone with messages. "Can we talk?" "You don't understand." I didn't answer. 2 weeks later, she got through, her voice like hot metal. You ruined everything. It was creative, and you started bullying. I laughed bitterly briefly. Creative? You called my father a racist. She screamed that I had betrayed her, that Sarah had framed her, that I had never understood. I hung up, and the silence was sweeter than her words. Sarah didn't stop. She released a second video showing Anna's correspondence with her friend, where she laughed. They are so naive, they believe my smiles. There were new screenshots where Anna planned to bomb further. Sarah concluded, be careful who you turn into a character. Not everyone is silent. The video took off, and I knew that her career on the internet was fucked. I remembered how she beamed at our dinners, how she hugged my mother, how she wrote like a rag. Her duplicity was her art, but she miscalculated. The truth that Sarah had thrown into the net was stronger than her lies. And I was a part of that truth, even if all I did was. I returned home a month later. The apartment smelled of her perfume, but it was empty. Anna had moved out without leaving a note. My parents brought me food, hugged me, and kept quiet about it. My brother fixed it. My sister gave me a new plaid. My grandmother baked a pie. They didn't talk about forgiveness or what would happen if they were together. I looked at their families, and it was a family, not masks, but people who don't betray. I checked her accounts, but they were empty, and there were almost no subscribers. She tried to launch a new blog, but they didn't believe her. Her show was over, and I was thinking about my choice. I didn't scream, I didn't take revenge, but I let the truth come out. Sarah was my weapon, but I chose to fight. I could have protected Anunu lied for the sake of peace, but then I would have betrayed those who held me. Her blog was a war, and I won because I was honest. Now I'm sitting in my house drinking coffee, and I know it is mine. Not her scene, but my life, where the truth is louder than the lie.